Hello, we are the Businessmen, group number 13. My name is Daniel Welch.
My name is Weston Bowering.
My name is Andrew Schlendorf.
My name is Sam Newhouse.
And today we're going to be looking at the Ford Motor Company. More specifically, we will be looking at how Ford says their company promotes diversity and inclusion, and then taking a deeper look into how diversity and inclusion really incorporates into their workplace and management. First, we will be looking at Ford's public image and how they say that they present themselves to the public.
And now for the public image of Ford. Ford portrays themselves as a company that values diversity and inclusion. In 2018, Ford joined the CEO Action for Diversity and Inclusion Pledge, which is a multitude of businesses that are aiming to promote diversity in their companies. Ford has a zero-tolerance policy for any form of discrimination based on race, gender, ethnicity, etc. According to the 2020 Ford Employee Report, the majority of race and gender employed by Ford is white males. Also, looking at their supplementary report for managerial positions, an even higher margin is white compared to the other races. And now continuing with the public image, Ford is partners with many programs that promote diversity in the workplace. These are just a few examples of programs that represent minority groups in the workplace that Ford has partnerships with. This shows that leadership in Ford enacts values for their employees. And now Sam will talk about the internal organization at Ford.
And now we'll be discussing internal organization of Ford. In the bottom left, you can see William Clay Ford, who is the executive chair of Ford Motor Company. He is actually related to Henry Ford, who is the founder of the company. And in the bottom right, there's James D. Farley, who is the executive chair of Ford. In the bottom three graphs, you can notice graphs for board of directors, global workforce, and leadership. And they're all obviously skewed towards male. And in the top right, you can see the board of directors for Ford, by which it is all male except for one lady there included. And majority of them are also white as well. So there is a large white male population in the leadership of Ford. And now on to Daniel to talk about resource groups.
Ford incorporates many diverse resource groups for their employees and staff members. As we can see, there are many different groups that encompass the many different abilities and backgrounds that their staff has. Here are some of the resource groups listed and their objectives. The Ford Interfaith Network assists in promoting religious inclusion. Middle East and North Africa Association, their goal is to build bridges to consumers of Middle East and North Africa backgrounds. Ford LGBTQ employees, their goal is to foster inclusive and supported atmosphere for the company. And the Ford Empowering Diverse Abilities goal is to ensure Ford vehicles are inclusive of all disabilities. With these resource groups and their specific goals and objectives, we can see that Ford is really trying to foster a community of acceptance and inclusion for all. This also really helps with an employee's social identity. It allows for them to be part of a group with people like them within the Ford group itself and allow for a sense of belonging. Social identity also really helps the individual to feel psychologically safe within their groups and their surroundings. And here's Weston to talk about how their views are consistent with embracing diversity.
Through their actions, Ford Motor Company has demonstrated that they are both consistent and committed to bringing up and advocating for minority groups. This consistency is not only proven by their extensive number of employee resource groups, but by the recognition they receive from other organizations and their supplier diversity and inclusion program. Ford Motor Company has received a number of awards from different organizations, forming an extensive list, including but not limited to the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, the Human Rights Campaign, and the National Minority Supplier Development Council. Ford proves their consistency again through their Supplier Diversity Development Program, as the program specifically seeks out minority-owned businesses and entrepreneurs and assists in bringing them up to compete in the automotive industry, proving that Ford not only speaks about inclusion and equal opportunity for the sake of their public image, but actively works towards embracing these concepts. Now back to Sam to touch on a few of Ford's inconsistencies.
Thank you, Weston. As discussed before, the majority of white leadership in Ford is a stain on the image of diversity and inclusion in Ford. However, it may not be intended by Ford, even though it does impact their company. But on a lighter note, Ford's multitude of resource groups are essential in finding groups for their workers to belong. For their workers to find social identity is very important for their work ethic. Under social identity theory, a person's sense of who they are is based on the groups that they're a part of. And the groups that they are a part of are important for the positivity in their self-esteem. These groups give people a sense of belonging, which helps motivate and maintain their self-esteem, causing them to like work most likely. Also, this will cause intragroup loyalty, in which workers will assimilate better with the groups in the company. This will cause increased participation and is good for company and employee self-esteem.
Overall, we can see that Ford does indeed back up their public image or artifacts within the company.
We found that Ford's values do back up their artifacts, looking at the many groups that they are partnered with and the many different resource groups that Ford has formed and offered to their employees and leaders within their organization to fulfill many different needs and help certain communities.
Like we said earlier, the only disparity that we found with respect to their articles and values is that the leadership was a majority of white males, respective to their colleagues.
Here's our works cited page, and thank you for listening to our presentation on Ford Motor Company. Thank you very much.